also just realized I'm not wearing my normal USF shirt.
Are you wearing a Hollister shirt? What is that?
No, it's fucking Bucky Badger, baby. Fucking 1977 Bucky Badger, Wisconsin hockey national
On
champions, baby.
Wisconsin.
On
On
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Literally, I will never. We can shudder the memories of that season, but that first game against Wisconsin, like 5 years ago, where they just fucking pantsed us. I made such good buddies with the guys from Bucky's fifth quarter that
They were really nice guys, and they were like, "Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's destroying you completely." But hey, we're enjoying a beer in this beautiful weather here in Tampa, Florida. I'm sorry, they said Tampa, Florida.
Florida. They wanted to do I leading up to that game, not to go off this tangent, but we got an hour to do this shit anyways. I just remember leading up into that game, and like I asked them, I was like, "What are the chances that like Jonathan Taylor like doesn't play?" Like they just like hold him out for whatever reason because it's a cupcake, and they're like, "No, they want him. They're like wanting to use him for like draft purposes and to like expand like his horizons and everything like that."
He wanted to get 2,000 yards or something. He had records to break.
Yeah, and they were like, "Yeah, they wanted him to like practice catching passes and stuff like that." And that's when he started doing wheel routes out of the backfield, and that's when, well, amongst other things, killed USF that game.
They were just having fun. That was 2 coaches ago, Steve. That was 2 coaches ago.
God, how time flies when you're having fun or something.
Having fun and losing a lot.
Speaking of losing a lot.
No, we're going to talk about the USF Women's Basketball AAC regular season champions, baby. March victorious. We're going to start with the winning, aren't we? Oh, I guess that's not how the notes are.
No, we'll start with the winning. We'll start with the positive for once in our godforsaken lives. But welcome back to the USF Round-Up. It is Robert Stieglife. It is Anthony Vito. We are back again. I'm back after a hiatus, emergency, whatever you want to call it last week. I wasn't on. So Vito, in his ever so dashing way, was able to hold it down for me while I was keeled over in the bathroom for 8 hours. So shout out to you for that one.
Well, you know, I'm glad that you're okay and you're back with us because that was very fun. It was very exciting to talk to myself and have people in the chat help talk with me as well. So we had a good time. But I'm glad
it's like having an inner narrative, right?
Yep. And that's why you don't work out, friends, and go to the gym, because then you get sick.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, no, we're back to our regularly scheduled programming every Monday around 9:00, usually, give or take, if we're not doing anything beforehand. We'll be live discussing the previous week's worth of USF athletics, USF Olympic sports. We will sometimes dabble in the football every once in a while, but that's for later on. But we're here to talk about Olympic sports, shine some light on the programs that deserve it. And boy, we need to shine the light on a program that deserves it. USF women's basketball, AAC regular season champs for the second time in 3 years.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, friend. Those 2 out of 3 ain't bad
at all. No, we absolutely love it. Could have almost had it last year. Had a couple more fortunate games fell our way. But before we get into the actual championship moments of the game, we do have to talk about a game that happened before the regular season getting clinched. USF traveled to Oviedo to take on rivals University of Central Florida, and boy howdy did they just fucking wipe the floor, send them back to earth, just crushed UCF. Like in a way that USF is, Jose doesn't normally just crush teams, but he crushed this team.
So that's a 29-point deficit. That was the biggest deficit of the year, Stieg, or was it the second biggest deficit? Doesn't matter. Both of them were against UCF.
Correct. Yes. So USF defeated UCF 73-44. Really, it was not even as close as that score is letting on. USF just powered away from it from start to finish. UCF hit like 4 3-pointers in the third quarter, in the last like 2 minutes of the third quarter, that just like the game was so handily out of the way. USF was up by 39, I think, and then UCF rattled off like 4 straight threes, and then just Jose called a timeout and was like, "All right, I'll actually like play defense. Like, I want to. I have money on this game." But
I,
he just fucking then went all out for that.
I wasn't able to watch the entire game, but I did tune in for the third quarter. USF outscored UCF 17-9 in the first, 21-6 in the second, 12-10 in the fourth, and 23-19 in the third. And I remember listening to the announcers. So on ESPN Plus, it's always the announcers for the in the stadium. So it was in Orlando. I remember them saying like, "Well, you got to love the fight that they're doing that." So coach is going to go back and say, "We need to do what we did in the third quarter for the rest of the year and all of the quarters." And I went, I mean, yeah, I guess. Still down 23-19, but yes. So I thought that was an interesting tidbit where it's just like, it was already such a huge deficit, and USF was just saying, let's just get in and let's just get out.
Oh yeah, no, really, they shouldn't have just called any timeouts this game. I wanted USF to score 100 points. I want USF women's basketball to score 100 points this year. It probably won't happen, though, unfortunately. They have the firepower and capabilities of doing it. And nonetheless, so they shot 47.5% from the field, as opposed to a lowly 22% by the Golden Knights there. USF went 9 for 23 on threes and 6 for 9 on free throws.
Nice. Just beautiful. A chef's kiss of an ending. The one thing that's fascinating to me is every player that suited up scored a point in that game.
That's usually when that's like the ultimate sign of disrespect, I feel, in basketball. I know in football it's like, when you're throwing out the third string quarterback, it's when everyone scores in basketball is when things are going good. But it was just dominance from start to finish. It wasn't overtly defensively. USF did extremely well. But it wasn't like USF just absolutely crushed them in like every statistical category. It was just they were that much better. It wasn't like USF did anything extraordinary. They got like probably the same number of rebounds. They shot about the same percentage. They actually brought down their season average on free throws because 6 for 9 is not that great. But
yeah, 50.
It was just clinic. It was just you being that much better than the other team. So Elena went with 19 points. Dulcie 18 points and 14 rebounds. Sammy,
so cool.
It's ridiculous.
Come on.
Sammy with 12 points and Carla Brito with 11 points. But then, as we mentioned, everyone filled out the stat sheet.
Carla actually, 4 points and 11 rebounds, which I thought was really, really great. Carla Brito's been outstanding this whole year, and getting better as the years go on, or as the games go on. She didn't have to play as much because, again, they played everybody. So
right. Sorry, I absolutely misread my notes there. 11 rebounds, not 11 points, which surprises the shit out of me. Now that I said that makes so much more sense.
Well, that's why it was shocking to me. I was like, 11 rebounds. Holy crap.
Just fucking putting it on. But then the big game happened. And I was there. Paige was there too.
What?
We had a good time. Yeah, we were both there. Shout out to USF. The season, one of the season ticket holder like perks is that you got free ticket to this game and the Tulane game for whatever their other sport was going on that day. Certainly not any other sport in the Sun Dome. But yeah, so they got free tickets to the USF SMU game, which just so happened to be the trophy raising game for USF women's basketball.
So
defeated SMU 70-62. And as someone who attended that game, it was a very weird game. And the best way I can describe it is USF won by 8 points. They didn't play particularly well, but they were better than SMU for a full 4 quarters. But also, USF didn't lead the game until 2 minutes. Or actually, they didn't lead the game until like the buzzer at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
So USF led for only 30 minutes, or excuse me, 20 minutes of a 40-minute game. The game seemed a lot closer than it was, but USF was by far and away a lot better than SMU. SMU literally did not miss their first 9 shots, and which frankly kind of scared me a little bit because I was like, oh god, are we about to have another like Layla Flores game, like where you just they don't miss and you have to deal with that. So at the end of the first quarter, though, SMU led 19-17, which is just an absolute barn burner of first. Um, and USF just slowly but surely crawled their way back. Elena Chinecki hit a buzzer beater at half to put USF up 33-31 at halftime, and then patented big third quarter showed up, and USF just took over the game from there and outscored SMU 16-9 in the third. And then SMU tried to keep it close towards the end, called a lot of timeouts, called a lot of full court presses with like 6 minutes left, which was pissing me off because I was like, just fucking let us win. Stop forcing like unfortunate timeouts and everything like that. So, par for the course though, and I'll give credit to SMU. Their coaches turned around that program and they're pretty good this year. So all credit to SMU's head coach, who I was absolutely just hating for about 20 minutes there. So
yeah, that felt like it was going to be very similar to the Houston game where SMU came out on fire and they looked really, really good. USF kind of came back, and then it just was never in the second half. USF would get out to a lead, and then it was almost like trying to keep them at arm's length. But after the Houston loss, it was just very much like if someone gets on fire and they can't shoot threes anymore, USF anyway, they could come back and like win this game. They ended up winning by 8 points, and in part because they shot 38% from three, 42% from the floor. And they shot 75% from three in the fourth quarter. So anytime there was a rally that looked like SMU could come back, USF would then drain a three. And that's just from a morale perspective, when you're trying to come back and then it's like, great, they hit another triple. I mean, again, your big three got or double digits, and Alana Chinecki has got 27 points, which I believe is a season high.
It didn't say it was a season high, okay. So I would be surprised if she had more than that, though. I mean, she might have had that early in the season, though.
Mm-hmm. And she also brought in 7 rebounds herself, so that's always nice to see. Dulcie with another double-double, 12 and 10, and then Sammy put up 18 and was 3 of 8 from 3-point range, which was good to see.
I will say, though, with Sammy was 0 for 5 in the first half for 3. Like, looked off. Like, I was like, oh, God, like, and again, I'm simple-minded peanut brain idiot over here. I was like, you kind of should bench Sammy if she's 0 for 5 from 3 in the first half and everything like that. And then midway through the third quarter, she hit her first 3, and you could kind of feel it at that point. You were like, okay, she's got it. And then went right back to her. The next possession, she hit another 3, and then guess what? They went right back to her the possession after that. She had another 3 to force an SMU timeout. And it was just like, you could see the weight get lifted off her shoulders. So that 3 for 8 is a little bit more of there's more of a story than just being 3 for 8. She from 0 for 5 to 3 in the second half, which was quite nice to see.
And those are the benefits you get to see when you're watching the game courtside, which I assume you are. You're courtside, right?
Yeah. I spent the $250 to sit courtside at the USF women's basketball game.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Yes.
Another thing that's fascinating, 30 points in the paint to SMU's 16. That's that when you double that out, then you start seeing the name of the game. Again, Dulcie has just been a force under the basket. So it's good to see that they were able to get through the adversity in the first half and win it and to clinch the regular season title. You don't draw it out any further. And especially the UCF game going into this week after the Houston lost, it was very much, okay, is this team going on a slump and how long is it going to last? And to be able to just get the monkey off your back really quickly and say, no, we've got this now. I think someone in our Slack channel said, wouldn't it be funny if they lost to Houston just to get pissed off enough to just boat race UCF again?
And they did.
Probably not, but evidently it, whatever Jose got his team to get up and have a pretty good week that week, especially after having a week off prior because Houston was the only game they played that week. So congrats again to USF Women's Basketball, the best team on campus in my personal opinion. I'm looking forward to seeing them end the season And I believe the last game at home is against Tulsa on Wednesday for Senior Day.
Right. And then they have one more.
Yes,
Don't
I always
forget
forget this.
that.
And
Yes,
my ESPN app doesn't say it.
it won't say it. I don't know why. It doesn't say any games in March, but they do have one final game after Senior Day. They are playing at Cincinnati, who is the worst team in the conference. Surprisingly, it's not UCF this year. Next Wednesday, so they get like a very awkward, play Tulsa on Wednesday, and then they get a week off to go travel to Cincinnati, and then conference tournament starts back up. So quite a weird way to end the year, but I won't complain either. To answer a question that we have there, what are the chances that women's basketball will host the first weekend in the tournament? Really, they have to win 5 more games. And not to say that they won't win those 5 games, but they have to win these 5 games coming up. They can't let these slip. You're probably going to face ECU or a Memphis or, God forbid, a Houston in the conference championship this year, and all 3 of those teams could give USF some fits, especially ECU. But you go through a run there. You're at that point you'd be 29-5, and depending on how the committee, which the committee's never been fair to women's basketball, depending on how the committee wants to kind of grade things out, there's a fairly good chance that USF is going to be in a favorable bracket, depending on the Southeast. I mean, they're going to be in the same region as South Carolina. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, interesting. I just looked up bracketology as of 3 days ago, and they have USF as a 6 seed in Seattle.
So,
wow,
great, even better. Yes, throw us on the West Coast again, fucking idiots. But I mean,
although you were right, because you joked about like, oh, put us in the second round against Duke. Guess who they would have to play in the second round?
Duke.
Yeah,
fucking great. Love it. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and everyone just accept this now. I'll say it out loud. We're gonna get a shitty draw, and we're gonna have to play a really good team in the second round. And USF historically has been fine in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I mean, last year, notwithstanding, but it's about getting past that hurdle of the second round, because at that point, usually you're playing a team that's playing pretty good, playing pretty hot, didn't sleepwalk their way into the conference tournament, conference championship, or anything like that. And then, of course, in the third round, you're going to have to play like South Carolina or Stanford or LSU.
But once you make the Sweet 16, everyone's going to be elite. So, but it's just making it to that second weekend. Just make it to that second weekend. That's always the hard part. It's tough to when you get like 2 years ago where they beat, who did they beat in the first? Washington State, and then they had to play the one seed NC State. And it's hard to especially in women's basketball to play a top 5 or a top 6 team right out of the gate, because you're probably not going to beat them, because you're probably closer to a top 15 team. But it's getting the draw so you can make it to that second weekend or getting a chance. And then sometimes that's defeating the odds. But this team, out of any team that we've seen, can win in multiple ways. It's just, can they keep what they did earlier in the season against Ohio State and against Alabama and carry that over now, especially since this looks like it's going to be a one bid league. So it's like you're going through conference play, and all of a sudden the everything ramps up again. So a 6 seed, I'd be happy with that technically, but I kind of figured once you lost that game to Houston, that was going to kill you. Like the wins weren't going to stack up and get you higher, but a loss was going to ding you. But in this situation, we'll see what ends up happening. But going to Seattle, like after we joke about saying like they're going to put you in a regional thing, you're going to be, they don't really care about perfect seed. Now all of a sudden they're going to send you across the country. That's very different than what I normally expect.
At this point, I'd rather than just get like a 12 seed or like a 13 seed or something like that, play a 4 or 5 that's like playing pretty okay, and then kind of sneak your way in that way, rather than having to play as like the 5, 6, 7, or 8 seed. And then, because the worst thing that could happen to USF right now is getting the 8 or 9 seed. There's just no doubt about that.
You don't want that at all, because then you're
that is the worst possible seed you can get. I'd rather take anything else.
Yeah. That is correct. With this, I don't want to call it a slump when you're winning, and yeah, you lost against Houston, but the turnovers and the points off turnovers is what's been killing them. They had 15 points, or SMU had 15 points off turnovers. USF luckily was able to turn the tide there, but against Houston, it's especially when that press happens, because on a full court press they look lost last year against UCF and this year against Houston. So it's just protecting the ball and not turning it over. That's kind of where they end. It's the end of the season, so you got to tighten up. All right, we spent 20 minutes on women's basketball, Steeg.
Good, that's how it should be.
Yes, I agree. We should have a whole women's basketball podcast.
All right, let's. Yeah, I mean, we should keep the wins going. Yep. Men's basketball won a game, didn't just win a game. Fucking embarrassed an opponent.
Annihilated Tulsa.
Right, and in fairness, this Tulsa team is like historically bad. Like they I think have won 5 games this year.
Won one game in conference.
Have not looked good. They're not a very good team, but they are in year 1 under a new head coach, and this head coach has gotten a lot of administrative support. They kind of didn't get a good luck of the draw when it comes to the transfer portal and everything that was going on. Frank Haith also left like the cupboard more empty than I think I've ever seen a basketball coach do. So, that might be a factor in it. But nonetheless, we'll celebrate victories. USF beat Tulsa 96-69 last Wednesday.
Unbelievable.
And it really wasn't close. Like, I think we all were feeling like, okay, at some point they're going to start blowing this. Like, especially they put up 50 points in the first half. So we were all kind of expecting like, okay, they're only going to score like 10 in the second half and then lose or something like that. But no, they really coast to coast, really just put it on them.
I mean, what's remarkable to me, so they shot 57% in the first half and then 38% from 3-point range. And then normally you'd go like, okay, that's going to drop to the mean. No, then they scored 68%. They shot 68%, 17 of 25 field goals and 4 of 9 for 3-point range in the second half, where they put up a remarkable 46 points after a 50-point outburst. This is just like where? Russell Shua had 21 points. Tyler Harris had 10. Jameer Chaplin had 9. Sam Hines Jr. and Ryan Conville both had 8. Keyshawn Bryant and Selton Miguel both had 16. Like, this is just, where did this come from? I don't know if this Tulsa team is just that bad, and I think they are. And our friends from the Golden Hurricast would say the same thing. I believe for a while there they were saying just lose by less than 10 challenge for a while there, and then they beat Tulane. But this is just, you scored 96 points in the game. I have no complaints. That was, you beat a team that one of the teams that you are better than, you beat them, and you beat them badly. I just only wish we got to play Tulsa and ECU all year.
Right. That would make my heart so happy. But in fairness, this is how every team has played against Tulsa this year, minus Tulane. Just for posterity's sake, these are the scores of their previous games leading up to that. They lost to UCF 96-52. They lost to Houston 80-42. They lost to Wichita State 86-75, only 11 points, not bad. They lost to Cincinnati 81-55. Just skimming through the rest of them. I mean, they historically have been losing by 20 points to any team with a pulse at this point. Again, that Tulane game is a really weird blemish. Tulane is a very good basketball team this year, and they lost in overtime to Tulsa, Tulsa put up 81 points. They literally come nowhere close to 81 the rest of the season. Like,
just a very weird way that works. Also, Steeg, do you know another fun fact about this game?
Mark Kalea?
Yes. Well, yes. Shot a 3.
What was the other fun? Yeah. Well, I don't know what you were referencing. I was just going off the notes.
I was going to go there. This is the first time USF men's basketball beat Tulsa men's basketball in a game.
No way.
Yep.
We've never beat Tulsa in basketball.
Tries. Yep. Tulsa historically is an okay program, but I didn't mean to say that. Yeah, they've lost every single one.
That's in fucking incredible.
I would have
hammered that if I knew that.
I'll always look at the history just randomly just to see like, okay, how does this actually look? And I was like, I don't remember ever beating Tulsa. And lo and behold, frankly, it looks like they haven't played since. So it's only ever been a conference game. So they never played them prior to that. I guess they had no reason
Right.
to. But yeah, how about that?
Incredible. I would have hammered the Golden Hurricanes for letting us finally beat them.
Put another
Oh my
feather
god.
in Brian Gregory's cap.
Yeah, fucking beat Tulsa. Great. Good job. Yeah, if you had told me like 6 years ago that Brian Gregory coached USF men's basketball, beat Tulsa 96-69, I'd be like, oh shit. Like we're competing for like conference championships. Like,
Just unbelievable. So I was gonna then pivot that into Jake Boggs or not Jake Boggs, not no Mark Kalea.
the
Three
other white guy.
3 minutes, and he's made his only 3-point attempt. And Keanu Luson also played 3 minutes. I have not seen his name in any of the box scores. So there you go.
That's oh yeah, he's the so they gave Mark Clay a scholarship. He's the walk-on that does not have a scholarship.
Okay.
I think that's how it goes. But yeah, so overall, great game. I will always give credit where credit is due. Beating Tulsa 96-69, very good. I think they were leading as much as 31 points with like 6 minutes left. I'll take that. I love that. I'm relishing in it. I felt so good for like 15 minutes. And then I was like, yes, Tulsa's historically bad. And then we have to turn around and play Tulane.
So how'd that
And
go?
then we lose. We lose, of course. We are Tulsa. We are Tulane's bitch right now when it comes to sports.
And as far as it, I kind of like Tulane. They're not bad. Their fans are fun. It's New Orleans. But yeah, I like it feels like every game in every sport, we're just losing to Tulane. It's just this one felt it was what 35-31, down by 4 in the first quarter, and they looked fairly decent. And then it's just the wheels fell off as usual.
Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do about it? No, you should do something better. This is it was kind of typical what we have seen out of USF men's basketball, kind of keeping it close, but it was more the stat line was a little bit more deceptive, or excuse me, the score line was more deceptive than the stat line. We've seen kind of these teams come out sluggish against USF. USF either playing good defense or whatever. We had 11 turnovers in the first half, or USF turned the ball over 11 times in the first half. I should say that better. And then Tulane went 0 for 7 from 3 in the first half. And so that's probably what made it feel a little bit closer going into halftime. 11 first half turnovers is just pitiful. That's inexcusable. Whatever they're doing, they're not doing it well enough. But then in the second half, Tulane went 8 for 15 from 3. And that's where the difference started to, make its mark. And at that point, it's frustrating, but also it's comical at the same time. It's kind of like, yes, a team is historically shooting the worst they have done all season. Let's see if this stays. Oh, nope, doesn't. But on the bright side of things, Ryan Conwell is quite a true freshman. I wish he was getting more playing time because he would get a lot more, weekly honors. He's been probably one of the better freshmen in the conference, at least as far as scoring output goes. He went for a career high 20 points, which saying career high to a true freshman kind of feels disingenuous, but career high 20 points nonetheless. Started the game hitting back-to-back threes. So he's doing everything he possibly can. Tyler Harris right behind him at 19 points. So they were basically all of USF's offense at that point. That's 2/3 of USF's scoring output, just between those two individuals right there. Russ Chewa had a career high in rebounds with 15. So again, that's neat. But again, you lost 86-66. So all of that is kind of getting brushed under the rug because now you've lost. What are you now? 4-10 in the conference. You are officially going to be under 500 for the year, unless you go on just the most absolutely crazy run in the conference tournament. God help me if that happens. So sitting at 11-16 overall, not liking their NCAA tournament at large chances, frankly, and that's not great.
Well, that's good. I mean, Jalen Cook, Tulane's best player, dropped 30 points, and Kevin Cross and Jalen Forbes scored 19 and 15. It's like those three guys being as hot as they were. If you can't stop them, that's just how that's going to go. It was good to see Ryan Conwell do well as freshmen go, but if the inevitable happens, I always worry about what that means for the roster. So, but it's good to see that he did it. And 4 for 8 from 3-point range, 6 for 11 from the field is not any small feat. That's good. It seems like they're this year's team has the better individual performances I've seen in the Brian Gregory era. Even the teams with David Collins and Alexis Yetna, those were all decent teams. But you're seeing a lot of individual performances across the roster more so than you have in the past. It's just now all of a sudden they can't play defense, or maybe it's not defense and it's the other guys who are just shooting on fire. Because again, we keep saying this. They shot 53% from 3-point range in the second half. Like I don't know what you're gonna do with that.
Right. It's frustrating, but it's also like, what are you gonna do about it? We talked about it with football, I think, a little bit, and not to go too far off the rails. But we're kind of like at that point where it's like, you're just apathetic at this point. It's kind of like, what are you going to do? And they lost, whatever. They are, I was going to look up, see what their ranking is for assists per game, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this very quickly. So that's going to be frustrating.
I'll pivot. So I'll address to the chat. Have you seen anything there? What is everyone's opinion on Coach Brian Gregory?
Oh God, don't open up that can of worms just yet.
Okay.
We're trying to be positive in this thing. We're going to stay positive, but I would be shocked if he, survived the off season in the nicest way possible that I can possibly say that with, potential people listening.
So. Yeah. And what stinks the most is this roster actually seems fun. Like there's parts of games that are actually exciting, but it's, we'll let the Illuminati podcast talk more about that. But I agree. This is the big one. Defend them, wide open baseline threes. There's too many of that. For whatever reason, it seems like there's always somebody that's just wide open. It's tough.
Tough scene, as they say, as the kids say. Wow, how have I not found this yet?
Unbelievable.
I'm actually unbelievable. Oh, here we go. We are averaging 13.9 assists per game. That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, actually, if I'm going to be completely honest. Let's see, what is that good for? That is good for tied 13
points in the paint. Tulane had the advantage, 44-28.
I guess that's why
wide open.
127th in the country in assists per game. We're tied with Miami of Ohio.
Oh, the real you.
Yeah, the real you. So that's fun. We play at UCF on Wednesday. We'll see how that goes.
Say if they beat UCF again, I'm not even going to care what happens the rest of the year.
It's fucking hilarious, comical. It's pure comedy.
And UCF has just come off back-to-back buzzer or like 1 or 2 point losses to Cincinnati and Memphis.
Gut punch.
So, one of two things are going to happen.
We know what's going to happen, and then they'll come back home to play SMU on Saturday. SMU, who USF should beat, but didn't beat, and frankly looked really bad. So we'll see what they can do for the rest of the year, what they can muster. Maybe a few more wins under the belt would be nice, but I'm not going to count on it at this point. And we'll, if the inevitable happens, we will have a good hearty discussion on it with the guys from the Illuminati podcast, Nate and Seth. We will probably do a special show for that once it happens, because there's going to be a lot of discussion because of certain news today that dropped surrounding a certain former, is the right word estranged? I need your SAT help, Vito. Is the word estranged for a coach that was fired for being a shitty human being?
Yeah, I'm sure. That yeah,
Yeah,
that works.
Yeah, a certain estranged but very good head coach is apparently being linked towards the University of South Florida, but that is a discussion for if or when it happens.
Huh.
Yeah.
Anyway, as Heath says, lots of sports. We're going to move on to more sports.
Well, not really. Men's tennis is still on a very weird break. I think a 2.5 week break. So they don't play until Thursday this week. So in 3 more days here, 2 more days if you're listening to it, or 3 days if you're listening to it tomorrow. So yeah, they're still enjoying a nice little break, maybe enjoying the good weather around here. They play at VCU on Thursday. I'm trying to find out why men's and women's tennis is playing so many games away, but I haven't been able to find any concrete details yet. I might just message Ashley Fisher and ask what's going on there. But nonetheless, they've got quite an away schedule. VCU is a fine program this year. So we'll see if USF can, if this break allowed them to get back onto the proverbial horse and go back into their winning ways. And then switching to the opposite side of the courts, women's tennis had 2 games in the state of Texas over the weekend. They went 0 for 2 to drop their record to 2-4 on the year. They lost at SMU 0-4. Not great. They really, truthfully, did not look very good the entire match. And so the only kind of silver lining of it all was Sierra Berry lost her first set, was leading her second set, was pushing for that third set. But the match was decided on, I think, court 6, right before she was about to win her point. So she is still technically undefeated on the year until we get to the UNT game, where unfortunately USF lost once again 2-4. Sierra Berry lost for the first time this season. She got swept on her court there. She did win the doubles point with her partner Cleona Walsh. So they won on their court for the singles, but the other two lost on doubles. And overall, just not a very good weekend for the ladies out in Texas. Pelletier won on her court due to an injury and a forfeit. So,
still counts,
but, we're looking at 4-1. And then Cleona Walsh won on her court for singles as well. So overall, not a great start, but 2-4, you still got a long season ahead of you, and you can worry about things later.
Yeah, Sierra Berry no longer undefeated is definitely a downer because she was looking like a stellar season was ahead. So we'll see what ends up happening, but it's tough to be on these losing streaks. So now you are 2-4, and next up you get Stetson on Thursday and home against Northwestern on Sunday.
Talking about them Cats, baby.
Where's Will Kennedy when you need him?
Yes, sir. He's not getting married. He's at a wedding though. There was a star-studded lineup at that wedding. Hold on, let me count this up real quick. So that's 1. So we're at 1. So we're at 3 losses so far that we have covered.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if this trend continues. Women's
2 wins,
golf
3 losses.
Yes. We'll see if this continues. Spoiler alert, it's going to get worse. Women's golf is currently at the Las Vegas Aces Invitational, or some random fucking name. But they're out in Vegas right now, probably enjoying their time in the desert. They're currently tied 9th after the first round. They're 8 over for the day. Wouldn't read too much into this one. The field is it's a very loaded field. It's a very diverse field from basically all over the country, West Coast, Midwest, a few New England teams. Alizé Vidal is leading the way at 1 under for the day. I think she's tied 12th. But then Melanie Green is 1 over. Leonora Medeiros is 4 over. Lauren Heinlein is 6 over, and then Juliana Carmago is 4 over. So they're looking fine. I mean, again, these tournaments are kind of like just nice to haves, and then you get to the conference, and that's when it really matters for golf. And Vito,
Yeah,
I've been
it's
talking for a little bit. You talk for you
yeah.
talk now.
I was just looking through the so if you go to their live scoring that they have on the and the composite schedule, the first it just shows a bunch of tournaments, and the first one's literally called the Mickey Mouse Intercollegiate, and I just could not stop. The Mickey Mouse Intercollegiate, just unbelievable. Yeah, there's a lot of golf going on. So yep. Again, Melanie Green's the one to look out for. She is definitely the cream of the crop. So men's golf will play at the Lake Las Vegas Intercollegiate next weekend. I believe Steeg said that. So it's really neat to do 2 back-to-back Las Vegas tours. So are we going to finally move on to the round ball, to softball?
Yeah, unfortunately. You take this one.
Okay, so softball did not have a great weekend. However, it was a very, very, very tough slew of teams that they had to play, and a very tough tournament setting in Clearwater. So we're not gonna talk too much about what you're still trying to figure out your pitching staff. You're still trying to figure out the bats, but man, do they need to figure out how to manufacture some offense and get the bats going. And again, tough slate, brutal slate of games to start the year. They've now lost 5 in a row, but first game they lost 5-2 to number 16 Duke. They used 5 pitchers over 7 innings. Gabriella Nori with the start had 2 Ks. Kathy Garcia Soto with the 2 Bulls RBIs, and unfortunately, those 2 runs were the most runs they scored in the game the rest of the way. Their next game, they lost 5-1 to Texas A&M, who is receiving votes. They loaded the bases in the first, but couldn't come away with any runs, and then Aggies also left the bases loaded in the first. So you thought you maybe can get something. Peyton Dixon got the start, 3 runs, 3 Ks, and they used 4 pitchers throughout the way. Still seems like Peyton Dixon is probably going to handle a brunt of the starts going forward. Then they played number 8 Virginia Tech. Again, another top 10 team. Lost 4-1. Gabriella Nori with the start, 3 Ks, 2 runs. Again, just a brutal game. Pulled in a 2-1 game in the 5th. Virginia Tech added 2 in the bottom of the 6th. And then they lost in a run rule 8-0 to Mississippi State. Again, another team receiving votes. All freshman pitchers, Jade Martinez went 1 innings pitched, and Morgan Grubb went 1 innings pitched. Steve, you put a note here. It says, let's not schedule a brutal tournament start the year again. And it doesn't look like they're going back to Clearwater next year based on what you retweeted earlier. So
yeah, that's a lot
just a lot of big oofs. If I had that gif of the, oof load big oof, I'm talking about with the washing machine. I don't know.
Yes.
It's a weird meme situation. It's just a lot of big oofs. And again, it's just tough because you're, again, trying to replace Georgina Corrick, and you're trying to this has been an issue for years now, is just manufacturing enough offense.
Right.
So they're still working through it, and it's really hard to do that when you have to play right at the gate 5 straight top 25 teams.
Right. I mean, brutal start to the year, and that's not even considering the fact that Boston U, Boston College, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather them schedule tough than not, because evidently you're gonna in bat sports you're typically gonna get better when you play the tougher opponents. You can ride a lot more momentum that way as well. I was, not to say that any one of these games is more disappointing than the other. I think that Texas A&M game is probably the most disappointing of those, just because they really did have a chance to kind of like build momentum back up, getting the bases loaded in the first. There's some hits, there's some, patient bats, but, walking away with nothing and then going right back to the circle and giving up basically giving up bases loaded as well. Getting out of that jam is great, but, it'd be nice if we could start securing the bats again. They're getting hits. They're just not timely hits. It's that weird baseball thing where, you might get 5, 6, 7 hits, but only score 1 run because your, person right after he's getting out, or you're hitting into double plays, or what have you. So, like we mentioned, though, they are not invited back to the Clearwater Tax Act Invitational for next year, which is a-okay by me, because frankly, that tournament is a brutally tough tournament. I mean, you're talking the best softball teams in the country play in that tournament and get invited to that tournament. And frankly, at this point, USF is not one of the top teams. I think they give Ken Erickson the benefit of the doubt, the tip of the cap, to invite them out there, especially as a close school to it. But, for right now, I think we're perfectly fine, scheduling Chicago State or, Southern Illinois or some shit like that, and getting some
Keep
wins
bringing the
that
Illinois
way.
States back, because that game got canceled last week.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's also a local flair, and they always seem to have these types of tournaments that happen early on, especially with a lot of the cold weather teams coming down to Florida. So it works itself out. But I think you're right. It's tough to then not have any momentum going forward and still trying to sort out what your team is.
Right.
So again, they didn't get run ruled every game, so it's not like it was a complete wash. But it's tough to go out of a tournament like that, walk away with not a single dub. So you can add another 4 losses to your count, Steak.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Sorry, I'm just enamored by this kid that committed to USF. His nickname is Zoom. I love that.
Like the Flash villain?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you knew what I was talking about. Anybody here? Zoom? Any Flash fans? No one's a Flash fan. Okay, it's
fine. But yeah, and to Heath's point, if it lets you fine tune for the conference season, why not? But also, we wouldn't have known this had the season not started. All obviously, like these things get scheduled a year in advance, and who knows, USF could be world beaters next year in softball and not be playing in the tournament, and it's back and forth of it all. USF have been consistently good for the past 6-7 years, so who's to say it wasn't going to happen again? It didn't happen. That's fine. They have another couple of games coming up. They play Florida Gulf Coast as a double header on Wednesday. So the first game is, I think, at 2, and then the next game is at 6. That'll be a pretty good litmus test for us. And then they play the USF Invitational. Love these things. Clemson, Tennessee, Michigan State, and then University of Illinois. I don't know which one this is.
we're gonna look. Do I see University of Illinois, Chicago?
I thought it was Chicago. I didn't want to say Champaign though, because I knew that was not going to be it.
Strangely, the more obvious one.
Right. I should have just guessed it. So University of Illinois, Chicago. So nice little litmus test there too as well. They're not those 4 teams are good, not number 8 in the country good though. So that might be a nice little refresher though.
I do hope they do a little something for Michigan State, just based on what they had to go through last week.
They should. I hope that. You want to roll baseball real quick?
Baseball. So we started opening day for the Baseballs, and they got to host number 13 Maryland, which is a pretty solid team. It's great to have baseball back. I think I mentioned this. The cool thing about baseball, and to an extent softball, it just feels like in college especially, there's so much more zany, wacky logos. The uniforms are always so weird. You see pinstripes everywhere. Everyone's got like weird logos. And sometimes it's like everyone does script, or they have, it's so much fun. You have a lot of wackiness. Different programs are good at it. It's fun to watch. I'm excited for baseball every year. So they did lose the series 1 and 2, but they had a very exciting opening night victory, which to me, if you're going to do it, that's the way I'd rather do it. Win on opening night, get that jolt of excitement. And obviously you play the race on Saturday and it doesn't work out. And then Sunday didn't work out as well. A team also trying to figure out their pitching staff. So they stunned the Terrapins on Saturday with an 8-7 victory on Friday. It looked like they had the game-winning strikeout, but it was called a ball, and then a couple of singles had runners on first and second before they were finally able to get the victory. So that was very exciting. Bobby Bozer had 2 home runs, one off Maryland's All-American pitcher, which is nice. So 2 Bozer bombs for the night. Travis Sankovic is the Marshall transfer and had 3 RBIs. And Hunter Mink got the start and the win. He had 5 Ks and 3 runs, and his brother, Tanner Mink, got the close. So that was very exciting. So it was a really good series victory. They had the bull script, which is undefeated. Love that jersey combination. It was really nice at night. Looked like there was a good crowd. It was a good, fun old time. And Steeg, right. I'm gonna pass this over to you from the hot corner to second base, because you were at this game, and I believe you had some delicious hot dogs. So let's talk about Saturday.
Yeah, I fucking grubbed on some hot dogs. Shout out Jake Sansom. Wanted to do a little baseball tailgate. I was violently hungover going into this tailgate, and those hot dogs basically saved my entire life, along with the Pedialyte that I also consumed 5 minutes beforehand. But yeah, it was literally the most beautiful day for baseball. It was like 73 degrees in the shade. It was nice and cool. In the sun, it was kind of warm. Felt great. So USF again played Maryland on that Saturday. They lost 8-1, which isn't great, but you saw kind of some flashes of what the team might be. Again, this is a very, very loaded Maryland team. This is one of the best hitting teams in college baseball from last year that didn't lose a lot of talent to the draft or anything like that. So still an insanely talented team. Nolan Huddy got the start. He had 4 strikeouts and 3 runs given up. Again, and Brigade SRQ is as hinting at it. The freshman arms looked pretty good, and the stats won't jump out to you because again, they're kind of like they pitched like an inning and basically had a few ground outs or maybe gave up or 2 or something like that. But for the most part, they played pretty well, and USF really used their freshman pitchers. They had 4 freshmen pitch this game. Again, an 8-1 loss. So at that point, you're kind of just throwing shit at the wall and hoping something sticks. Justin Jackson, Chandler Dorsey, Fulton Lockhart, and Austin Newton got some spare time there. Caleb Punsack also pitched. He's a junior, a pretty good arm for USF as well, at least to come out of the bullpen if needed. Maryland's pitcher just was fucking lights out. I think Bobby Bozer hit a single at his first at bat, and then he shut down USF the rest of the way. He pitched 6 innings and had 8 strikeouts. So, again, they're top 13 team in the country. They hosted super regionals last year. They're really good, yada, yada, yada. But USF put up a good fight for about 3.5 innings. Maryland hit a grand slam to kind of really let the game loose. And USF did a good job of limiting the damage right after that. Didn't give up too much more. But again, you're playing the number 13 team in the country that hits a fuck ton of runs. Check those bats. They might be juicing them. What you gonna do?
Yeah, the 3 grand slams over the course of the weekend. Just looking at the freshmen, they all seem to do pretty well. The one that really Chandler Dorsey pitched an inning, 3 strikeouts. He had a couple walks, but didn't give up any hits or runs. Justin Jackson, right. I saw the bases on Bulls guys. The Bruin at McEwen guys say that he looked really solid. So it's all just kind of figuring out at this point.
Right. And thank you for correcting me on that. Yes, it was Punsack and Mink that gave up the grand slams those first 2 games. I think I misspoke and I said it was one of the freshmen that gave up the grand slam. No, it was Punsack, and they very quickly pulled him.
So what happened in the rubber? I'll take the rubber match, Steeg. They lost 9-5 on Sunday, but Butcher and Cantu both homered. Problem is the Terps hit 3 home runs of their own. So Bulls led 2-1 before Terrapins loaded up for 7 runs between the 3rd and the 5th, including a grand slam in the 5th, another one. So it's like when you give up 3 grand slams of course the weekend, that's what's going to happen. So you can see how good their bats are, and they just need to avoid those types of mistakes when you load the bases up.
Just don't load the bases.
Yeah.
Just don't let them get on base. I will say, sorry, going back to the Saturday game for a second. There was a very bullshit moment that happened. USF turned a really good double play to basically end the inning. Maryland's like All-American catcher hit like a triple to get onto third. And at the next at bat, the Maryland hitter hit it to the third baseman. I think it was Sankovic. Sankovic tagged Shaw off the base, off the Maryland player, and then threw first for a double play, a really fucking good looking play. And I was on the Maryland side, so I could see both of it, and it looked like both of them were out, and they overturned both of them. Like both of them ended up being safe. I could only assume from the hearsay that I was hearing from the people in the stands that it didn't feel like it was the correct call. But again, that was kind of might be USF home fielders there. So, what can you do about that? That was at that moment was also the moment where I left to go to the women's basketball game because I was at like 4 o'clock and we wanted to go to the women's basketball game at 4:30. So yes, they overturned both.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Hey, when that, because it's like there's no review. It just kind of is. So it's always a tough break because then those types of things turn into runs.
Right.
But yet, there was a moment on Sunday where USF was up 2-1. Daniel Cantu hit a homer to tie the game in the first, and then they were able to get a second run. And it's just the problem is Maryland's just really, really good. Hit a home run immediately in the third, home run in the fourth, home run in the fifth, which is the grand slam. And at that point, it's 8-2. Brutcher did hit a 3-run home run, so it's good to see that your upperclassmen are still hitting. Well, I guess he's still a sophomore, but Travis Sankovic, Sankovic or Sankovic, you were there. Is there?
I thought it was Sankovic, but I'm also European, so
he looked really, really solid. I mean, 7 for 12 over the weekend, again against a really good Maryland team. So looking forward to seeing him, and it's really good to be able to have a guy like that at third base again. So we'll see how he ends up playing, and we'll see what other lineups happen in the future. So you start off 1-2, but against the top 15 team, I wasn't sure what to expect. So being able to get that opening night or opening day victory was really, really good. So next up, they're at home against number 7 UF. So they turn around fairly quickly tomorrow and play a really good game. And then, is that right? They play at UF on Wednesday. Little quick home and home.
Yeah, a little home and home series against Florida.
Well, that's exciting, huh? Mm-hmm. USF scored 37 runs over 3 games. Yeah, they look really, really good against Charleston Southern this past weekend. So I think they're going to want to get some revenge on the regional from 2 years ago. Just 37 runs, man. That is Charleston Southern, man.
That's not going to be fun. And they ruled them like twice, and then like on the third day, they like basically like let the freshmen go and still won like 8-0. So that's going to be fun to watch.
Sorry, just real quick. This is interesting from Brigade SRQ. They said on TV that Sankovic tagged him with the glove but had the ball in his hand.
That's on the glove. That's what it's there for.
Isn't it just like all the same body? Like, never mind. Yeah, I know it's not right. Yeah. Okay, well.
Fun stuff.
You live and learn.
So then, I'll probably make that mistake again. So then moving into track and field, they had a few meets over the weekend. They had a meet over the weekend. That's the better terminology for it.
It was their first
Tampa one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tampa Track Classic at the University of Tampa was their first indoor event of the season. So it was mostly just running. Arden LaRose got first in the 800 meter with the personal best, 2:13.4. Victoria Valdez on the women's side. Was third, just behind Arden in that same 800 meter with 2:18.96. And on the men's side, the 800 meter, Troy Lanos got first. So that was 2 first place finishes, 3 total podium finishes. And Lissa Wyatt and Corey Kaloge finished 4th and 5th in the women's 1500 meter. That is medium distance running for the win. So that was all indoor. That was their first indoor performance, the first indoor competition of the season.
Well, technically the Harvard one was the indoor outdoor facility.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't count. Yeah, there. No, sorry. That was the first outdoor meet of the season. The other ones have been indoor.
Did I say
That's what
that
it
wrong?
was.
I meant that. Just. I'm gonna edit this out. Just go back. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was the first outdoor. The other ones were
Yes.
indoor.
Yeah. And this was a purely track classic. There was no field events. Romain Beckford. They gave him the week off to jump over other things that are 7 feet tall. Instead, and like Kobe Babin, pole vault over houses again. So yeah, so that was only track at the University of Tampa. I looked at that field just to see what was going on and everything like that. I was like, holy shit, they're pulling some of these school names out of asses. It was like Southeastern Lakeland College or something like that. I could have heard of it.
Every city has a
That's
college,
neat.
Steve.
Yeah, some shouldn't, tell you that much. But a big weekend coming up at least. They got the AAC Indoor Championships in Birmingham starting on Friday.
Birmingham, Alabama, not Birmingham, England, in case anyone was confused.
Yeah, the American Athletic Conference is just international going now. They're looking for prospective new new universities to add. They're looking at Bashir and Reading for next colleges. But yeah, so we'll look for that. We'll look for Romain Beckford to get first in high jump again. You know, the usuals that we always look for.
So tomorrow we will shout out to the Illuminati podcast. Nate and Seth are going to talk about the AAC football schedule release, which happens tomorrow. Is there a time on that? Was it 2 p.m.? Sometime in the early
I thought it was
afternoon.
1. It's sometime in the afternoon.
So we look forward to that. We know the opponents, the away and home opponents, but we don't know the schedule. We'll know that tomorrow. And Nate and Seth will be on here on this very app on Twitch, 11 a.m. Okay, good to know, 11 a.m. To discuss what they see, what they think could possibly be the outcomes for the upcoming football season. I always find it interesting that like all the Power 5 programs do it all almost seemingly a full month prior, and then the AC just kind of sneaks in the end of February, right before spring ball. So that'll be exciting. We'll talk about that.
Can't wait for every schools left the American to really care about it too. That's gonna be great.
I'm just, what's going to end up happening is they're going to, put it out and you're going to see that meme that's like, oh my gosh, it's like a mid off or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, just let us enjoy the damn schedule release, man. Don't need
I'm excited for some of the away games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's really neat to have new programs because then it's new cities you get to go visit. So it's like, I mean, I'm looking forward to going to Charlotte. I'm looking forward to go to San Antonio. I still haven't been to Annapolis, so looking forward to that. It's just new cities, new programs, new fans. It's like getting a reshuffle. And we've openly talked about, I don't care what conference we're in, as long as we get to play new, fun, and exciting games and be good at football. That'd be great.
I just want to be good at football. We need
just be good. And everything else will work out. If you're good, everything else will work out. The one thing I will say is don't, look at the schedule and start putting wins and losses in there to then get yourself disappointed in the fall, because that's always the most fruitless exercise.
Just assume 0-12, and you never get your hopes up.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
Set the bar on the
floor.
Why
doesn't everyone do it? Lower the floor. We'll move into fellas and bellas. We have a difference this week for the first time in a while, though, Vito. I'll tell you that much. The first time in a while, I think the first time we've ever had a difference in choices.
Oh yeah, it really Normally it's pretty cut and dry. So I'm looking forward to seeing yours. So you can go first.
My fella of the week, we're gonna agree on this one. It's pretty straightforward. Bobby Bozer is good. The fella of the week. There's no doubt about that. He was an absolute force. I was thinking about Bobby had a better outcome to get that victory in a more emphatic way, so I'm going to give it to him. Thought about giving it to Mark DeLay as well for hitting a step back ankle break in 3 to beat Tulsa. But again, if US loses a game in a week, USF men's basketball loses a game in a week, I don't acknowledge them. You fucked idiots. My expectations are so high for them. But my Bella of the week, mostly because I discovered this, and I should have known this for someone that follows the Olympic sports. Arla Rose, our track standout athlete with a first place podium finish in the 800 meter dash, a personal best of 2:13.4. Also found out she's a goalkeeper for our soccer team, and I had no idea.
It's exciting because, like, you imagine like the long distance or the medium distance running. That's like, oh, it's because they, they're a defender or something. They're doing a lot of running. Oh no, goalkeeper.
Yeah,
but impressive.
So that's
impressive.
That's cool as shit. I love dual sport athletes. And speaking of which, because I was trying to find a good way for Bulls fan 12. Yes, you are correct. Jaquan Smith will be running track for USF as well. For those that had over the weekend, set a personal best, a program record, and a meet record in the 100 meter with 10.6, I think. AKA really fucking fast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Do it on the football field and on the and in the track.
Yeah, 10.66 Ontario Relay Stadium meet record. And then his team also got a 4x100 meet record as well. So that's fast. You do your fella and Bella, and I'm going to look up something real quick.
You do that. So our fella is the same. It is Bobby Bozer. He got the AAC Conference Honor Roll for opening weekend. 444, 4 for 9, 2 home runs, 3 walks, 4 RBIs, 5 runs, and that was all versus Maryland. He's picking up right where he left off, and you're going to need him, his bat. You're going to need him, guys like Brutcher, and guys like Cantu to hit to get this team where they want to be. But really great opening weekend for Bobby Bozer. Always love watching him. Bozer bombs being a thing. My Bella of the week is Elena Chinecki from USF Women's Basketball. She just won the Conference Player of the Week with 23 points per game. We saw she got that 27 against SMU, 5 rebounds per game, and had her 12th 20-point game of the season over the course of the week. 27 versus SMU, that's with 44% field goal percentage, 55.6% three-point field goals, which is just insane, and 75% free throws for the week. So, Elena Chinecki, you are my Bella of the week. And let's keep that rolling for the last 2 games of the season.
Oh, hell yes. And then the number I was looking up. So that 10.66 in the 100 meter by Jaquan Smith. There was another wide receiver that was at the University of South Florida last year that was really fast. He ran at 10.81 before he ran that 10.81 out of Tampa. So you're looking at a whole 0.2 second faster. Not like 0.2 seconds is going to make a difference to me because that is a lot. That is very fucking fast, is what it is.
It's so unbelievably fast. Sometimes I look at that and just go like, my goodness, how do you run that fast?
Fucking, I don't know. It's the same thing that I say about basketball. Just recruit guys that shoot threes for basketball, and just recruit guys that can run 10.6 100 meter dashes in football. Like, you just gotta bet.
Mm-hmm.
Just recruit fast guys. That's so easy. All right, it's 10:15. Vito, what have we missed?
No, we hit it all. This is the time of the year where every sport happens, and next week this is going to be hard to cover because it's always hard to find information on. But then sailing starts soon with more regattas. So we regatta get out of here. I'll see myself out. Anyway,
I was going to leave. I was just going to leave.
It was excellent to have you back. It was really tough. I was just me for 40 minutes last time, but I got through it. It was great, but it's good to have you back to be able to talk about everything that we did. And yeah, we'll have a Illuminati podcast tomorrow. So tune in at 9 p.m. to listen more about AAC football schedule release and some other tidbits from Nate and Seth. So we'll see you then. Steve, get us out of here.
Bye. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.